welcome back into Indiebnb. Today we are joined by Jess Kallen from
Yo.
beautiful LA, where it's a little bit too toasty.
Yeah,
How are
that's
we today?
right. Beautiful for sure, but yeah, too toasty for me, for my cold blood. I'll say that. Yeah, the apocalypse is no joke, like I told you earlier, Grant, but stoked to be here.
Yeah, we're excited to have you, and want to dive right in. I mean, I read a little bit about you on the website, and want to understand. You got a crazy background in music. You went to USC. Tell me like what's gotten you into this industry, and what brought you here.
Sure, yeah. Well, I expressed an interest in the guitar when I was really young. I think because my dad was playing it around the house. And I'm really grateful that my parents, like, saw it early and took it seriously, or at least indulged the hobby. Maybe didn't know it would go this far, but they yeah, got me my first little guitar when I was only like 5 or 6. And I've been playing guitar ever since then. I've just totally infatuated with the instrument. I love it. Um, and yeah, I did end up. I was raised by a lot of awesome like music programs growing up in public schools, which is a rarity these days to have
Yeah.
a strong music program at a public school. So I'm super grateful for that and all my mentors. And then I ended up, yeah, going to USC, playing guitar, learning expensive chords, as I like to put it. And yeah, now I'm a few years out of school and strumming, writing silly songs, teaching. Yeah, and I just put out a record, and yeah, this shit rules. It's great.
I love it. I love it. So you get out of USC. I read that you'd been in touring group for a couple of different bands. You've supported a couple different people. Are some of those people that did they help you shape the music you made? For this Exotherm album that we've been graced with here in 2023.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think most artists will say that they're really influenced by their friends and who their collaborators. Yeah, and I've played guitar with some really amazing artists. A big influence I can think of is my good pal Rosie Tucker. I play guitar for them, and on many tours and on some of their third LP. And yeah, they are just a sage of their craft. I don't know, and just a great buddy. And they were also my intro to Wolfie, who is the producer on the record. Wolfie is also part of the Rosie Tucker kind of circle as well. So super grateful for that. And yeah, I guess that's why my music probably in large part is, very queer.
All right, Jess freshly relocated to a cooler part of her home, as we mentioned earlier, hot in California,
Yeah,
heating up the computer. So, um,
I'm trying it again from my
yeah.
dungeon.
But I was mentioning, you get out of college and you begin to kind of join the workforce in the music industry, and you mentioned some great friends. So kind of expand on that a little bit more of the people you've played with and what's been shaping this new album coming up with Exotherm.
Yeah, I mean, LA is amazing because it's full of, amazing music and amazing community around it, and amazing like queer community, and that's kind of where I found myself ending up after college. And I really found myself like kind of in the nexus of it, playing like a lot of really like gay rock and roll with my friend Rosie Tucker, my friend Alex Leahy, um, just really awesome guitar driven, you could say, raucous gay music. And it continues to inspire me, continues to be like huge influences on me, the queer community that I'm immersed in, and the music that is a part of that. um, and yeah, so there's definitely a lot of songs on this record which I think are about identity and coming to terms with identity and what that means, even if they're, it's a little more, it's not super explicitly like gay anthems perhaps, but I don't know, that almost makes it a little more cheeky in my opinion when it's it's a little, you have to kind of dig for it now that you know that this is a queer record, you have to kind of listen to it again.
Yeah, I'll have to come back to it and get to and find the
Yeah,
little nodes here and there.
exactly.
I love it. I love it. Well, you've obviously been shaped by this community. You mentioned I saw that you know toured with a few artists. What is that like to be kind of as a touring member of bands? But not necessarily, again, it's not exactly you're playing, I guess, what they've written you, or is it something that you've already written for them, or like what does that look like?
Yeah, good question. I mean, the role kind of varies per artist. Very oftentimes, like I am sent, I would say the majority of the time, I'm sent, here are the songs, here's the record. Like, try your best to match the tones, match the tones and the parts here. Here are the parts that I really want you to accentuate, that kind of a thing. So, in a lot of cases, I'm like learning and matching parts and kind of bringing out the live performance aspect of a piece of recorded music. But I have certain collaborators and artists too who are, you know, you can play whatever you want, which is almost like it's such a gift. And it's also like, oh fuck, wow. Like it's such a demonstration of trust to me, of like, yeah, go for it. Just like put your stamp on this, the record is its own thing. The live performance is a separate thing, which I certainly resonate with my own kind of live project as well. Like I love all the parts on the record, and I love when a band member, really resonates with, one of the recorded parts and wants to bring it to the live show. But I'm always like, yeah, do what you want. Like let's go crazy. Like I want this to be like your project too. I want you to feel empowered in this dynamic as well. So that's, yeah, but it really depends on the artist that I'm working for and what they are looking for in their live show.
Gotcha. So you gotta make it. I bet those first few shows you kind of have to really get a rhythm. Like you probably get a lot of rehearsal, obviously, but then you get in front of a live crowd. I mean, it's obviously there's some things that are a little bit different, I'm sure.
Sure. And I mean, sometimes there isn't a lot of rehearsal. That's maybe like maybe I'm like spilling a secret of like, being a touring musician, but like sometimes like there aren't a lot of rehearsals and like your job is kind of to just show up, know everything, know all the parts. And so that one rehearsal that you get or two rehearsals that you get is just kind of fine tuning it and, being like, oh, can you like, you know, flip on this pedal instead, or, those kind of things. Which is, yeah, which is intense, I will say. And it just goes to show like, I don't know. I feel like if musicians just all decided today, right now, to strike, like one of the things that perhaps would be unearthed about all the work that artists do is that like there is so much preparation that happens before even the first rehearsal, and sometimes the only rehearsal, right? It's just like so much unaccounted for, unpaid for labor. So I'm here to bust the myth of anyone who just thinks that we're like rehearsing and we're like, sometimes we're not, and we're just like in our rooms like practicing and practicing and practicing, and a lot of that is unpaid for. So yeah, who's ready to strike? Let's go.
Yeah, well, hopefully as the people in the crowd, we don't want you to strike. I
Yeah,
now I
for
now
sure.
think that I think I have a new appreciation for whenever a band maybe or somebody doesn't play like a song that maybe is off of a record that kind of off the beaten path a little bit. Like now I get it. It's like, well, if you didn't get it before the whole entire like tour, it's like I don't know the song, dude. Like I can't like
Yeah.
there's no
Yeah,
there's no
sometimes it does feel that way, doesn't it? Especially, yeah, yes, when it's newer. And I will say there is something to be said for like the first show or the first couple shows of a tour. Always like it feels like you're getting your sea legs a little bit. And then there's a really awesome point of touring where it's like the fifth show or the seventh show or something where everyone's really gelling, and all of a sudden you're not, trying to remember all the parts, the parts, and now you're just like having a great time. And it's so tour tight, it's that like thing that you only get if you're like playing the same show every night for like days and days and days. It's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful feeling.
I love it. Well, let's dive into your music. I mean, I want to, kind of the song that jumped out to me on Exotherm. I heard it this morning when I was on my car ride in. The knife, it kind of stuck out to me. So kind of take me from soup to bones, with that song, like how you came up with it. Did we go lyrics first? Did we go, did we just start shredding on the guitar one day and we're like, all right, let's go, this is it? Or how'd it
Ooh,
come to be?
yeah. Yeah, totally. Yeah. Let me take you back in my mental time machine. I think I was a senior in college when I wrote this song. So it's one of the oldest songs on the record, if not like the oldest song on this record, for me. Um and um I think what came to me first was the feel of the song. The song's in 6/8, which is it's a little weird. We normally write songs in 4. 6/8's like, slightly weirder version of just a song that's in 4. So that was kind of what I felt first, was this 6/8 feel. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And that's where this song started. Um and it has kind of a trudging feel, this kind of feel, and the tempo, that 6/8 feel. And it kind of brought me to like the topic of the song, which is like getting over a relationship that fell apart. Someone that had been in my life for a really long time, and um just like really like leaning into the bitterness of that like initial like getting over the end of this era of like having this person around and suddenly they're not around, and feeling kind of spiteful and vengeful, hence the like knife in the back little metaphor. Which I generally don't consider myself like too driven by like spite. It doesn't do much for me, but like when I do feel it, it is strong. And so of course the lyrics just came from that. um and yeah, a lot of the lyrics like reference, places that you know, the place where I've only ever lived in California. Um, both in San Francisco and then now in Los Angeles. So I'm used to like this like mountain ranges on the east and like the ocean on the west. Like I've always had that. And it felt like this really like I guess evocative kind of metaphor for how I was feeling, right? Kind of stuck between these two really big stages of life, right? Like one thing that felt secure and one thing that felt really unknown. And that was the future, right?
Yeah.
So that's kind of like the big metaphors of the song. And I had a lot of fun like recording overdubs on it, I will say. Like in the there was about 2 days in the studio with my friends Jeff Frantum and Maddie Votes, bass player and drummer, where we tracked all the kind of like the trio parts, bass, drums, main guitar, and then a lot of the other stuff I just did overdubs at home. And this was a really fun one for me to just layer guitars and guitars and guitars. My good friend and producer Wolfie did the same, layering guitars and guitars and guitars. Yeah, and so there's a lot of little sprinkles of the song that I feel really proud of that were just so fun to record. And yeah, even though this time in my life was far away, it I can look back on it and feel pretty proud of that song. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a little time machine, little kind of evoke how you were feeling back then. I mean, I
Totally.
love it. You said you mentioned like you wrote the lyrics a little bit out of spite, like the knife in the back part. Like, what did you remember? Was there something specific that you felt like, oh, this is really this was the reason why I put that one in there, or like, was there an event that
Mm,
triggered that, or if you want to share, if you don't.
yeah, sure. I can share, I guess. And I truly wish this person like, oh, the best in the world. And I don't hold any spite against them now. So if they, for some reason, are stumbling through the internet and find this, like, just
Yeah.
know, like, we're so beyond, like, we are so cool, my friend, like, we are so good. Um, but I think at the time I felt pretty there was like we were hanging out at one point, and then and it seemed like we were having a chill, like maybe like kind of small talky type of hangout
Sure.
thing where we were reconnecting. Um, and then it was something must have happened, and that's what's still pretty unclear to me. I don't know if I said something, if this was something they were holding on to, but at some point while we were hanging out, like a flip switched, and they just kind of like were upfront with me and said, "Actually, like, don't think I can have you in my life." And I was like, "What?" I felt total like whiplash, and it made me so mad. It made me so mad at the time. I was like so confused. I was like, "Wait, why did we just like go through all this like small talk and like hang out for the past few hours, and when you just wanted to tell me that you didn't want me in your life anymore?" It felt really, it almost felt spiteful on their end at that time. And so
Yeah.
I think that's where the spite inside of me grew, and where the it felt like a knife in the back a little bit. I
Yeah.
was like, "What? Where did this come from?" Um, and again, I don't know. I was like, how old was I? Probably like 20 or 21. So like, I don't know. We were both kids, and it was messy. And again, there's no ill will. And I think of this person often and wish them the best. And yeah, I feel like I've accessed a lot of a lot more tools in my tool belt from a lot of therapy, a lot of songwriting. So I don't hold any spite against this person anymore.
I like it. Well, yeah, I always am curious because like when you hear a lyric like that, you don't know. Like there's got to be something. There's a little bit more. There's more to it than you think.
Sure,
I
sure, of
always
course.
like to ask, but I appreciate you
Yeah.
sharing that.
Oh,
Um,
totally.
for kind of transitioning as you build a live set, you know, when you write and when you're writing songs, like do you think about that with it in mind? You mentioned you were layering guitars in, like will there be you mentioned earlier, you're like, yeah, there's a difference between, some people think there's a difference between the album version and the live version. So will that be the case with the knife, or will there be pretty similar? What's it going to sound like when we see it live?
Yeah, great question. I think when you hear it live, it will probably sound pretty different because I really like playing in like a trio setting.
Mhm.
I love just I don't know, I like the kind of challenge of making the guitar like larger than life when it's just one guitar. Um, I look to like um the album like Emotions and Math by Margaret Glaspie as like a great example of like a guitar record and like kind of rock record that's just trio, and it just fucking rocks. It like speaks for itself. And so I definitely like carry that. I think when I do live shows, I love kind of a trio setup. Um so when you hear it live, you'll probably just hear me stepping on a lot of pedals to maybe yeah, get kind of a larger than life sound, or you might hear me going in stereo, like into 2 amps. So you'll hear kind of a bigger sound out of just one guitar. Um, that being said, I have played with another guitar player, and that's always a fucking treat. I'm always like, oh yeah, this rules to have someone else like playing some of the sprinkles. So I imagine you'll see either a trio or a quartet, two guitars, a bass, and drums. Yeah, I haven't uh convinced any of my friends to sing background vocals yet, so we'll work on that.
I got to work on your sales skills. I like it. So for you, when you're going out now, like we got the album out, is there a plan to tour, or like what's the short term for Jess Kallen?
Yeah, totally. I'm hoping to do a little bit of touring this fall, in some capacity. And in the meantime, I'm in Los Angeles now, and yeah, might be touring with some other artists too. Because yeah, being a guitar player is, like I said, kind of my first love, um, and I love doing that too. So, um, those are on the horizon, and also I'm working on a new batch of songs already. I say already, but like I recorded Exotherm back in 2021, so I'm like emotionally like this album is so in the rear view for me, even
Yeah,
though I'm really excited that it's finally out and I can like kind of talk about it with people. But emotionally my gut is like let's sing a new damn song, please. So I'm stoked to start recording that. Actually in a couple weeks we're gonna dive into recording a new batch of tunes, so I'm stoked on that.
gotcha. Well, how do you balance, right now, like how do you balance between going, obviously doing your touring, your touring gigs, but also, writing as well? Is it something that you do on the road a lot? Like, is it something that you can take mobile?
Yeah, great question. I think some people really can. And I feel like a pretty touch and go writer. I will have like very prolific, manic like periods of time where like there'll be 2 weeks where I'm just like, I'm finishing 4 songs, like I'm amazing, just like going for it. But then I'll have, like 3 months or something, 4 months where I just like don't write a single thing. Um, and that's okay. I used to think there was something kind of existentially wrong about that, but I think that's just the rhythm of like where I'm at right now. So sometimes the songs come to me when I'm on tour and on the road. There's one song on this record called Running Shoes that I wrote on the road. That's kind of about being on the road, honestly. So yeah, they do sometimes come on the road, but it's a little bit random. It kind of feels like I'm a butterfly catcher with a big goofy net. Just like every time I see a bug, I'm like, oh, there it is. I gotta get it.
Yeah, we've talked to a fair amount of people, and I think like every time we ask that kind of like, hey, how do you write? What does it look like? Question, like there's some people who are boom, we are X, Y, and Z, and it is this way, and that is the only way we're doing it. I'm doing it every single day, and
Mhm.
there are others, again, it's a little bit more inspirational. Hey, like I'm coming from this place or this place, and I want to go ahead and get it written down. So I think it's just any there's no one size fits all. It seems like anytime.
Definitely. Yeah. And like shout out to all those people who, like the Jeff Tweedies of the world who can just like have a regimen. Like I am in awe of you. And yeah, I'm I always say that I'm gonna, like write lyrics like the first 5 minutes when I like wake up in the morning, and then I don't usually do it, but on the days that I do, I like feel like I deserve a really special treat or something.
That Pop Tart in that oven just for a couple more golden brown seconds.
Look, exactly.
Love it. I love it. Well, you know, you've probably got some great tour stories. We've heard a lot of different pieces from people, talking about sound people that have been awesome, restaurants, people. So talk about just your best tour experience, whether it be with your band or with any other band that you played with.
Yeah, totally. That's great because sometimes people want to hear like tour horror stories, and I'm like, oh man, like that's just such a downer. Oh man, but best touring experiences. I mean, I have to just think. I think back to like like certain live shows that felt really just locked in, and like the audience was giving as much as we were giving. And I usually feel that in honestly like in places that are not like the big three cities that aren't New York or Los Angeles or Chicago or Atlanta. It's usually in like Davenport, Iowa or something. Just like a place where the music is not taken for granted, I guess, because people will plan their whole week or their whole like season around like, oh, this band I know and love, it's going to be in my town, or it's going to be in a town that's 4 hours away. So I'm going to take that day off of work, and I'm going to drive out there, and I'm going to go to the show, and then I'm going to drive back like 4 hours back home. It's just a totally different way of it, like consuming music that I do not know because I've only ever lived in a big city,
Yeah.
essentially. So that feels really special. And I feel in that moment how vital the music is, because I don't always feel like it's vital here in LA. Because I'm in my own little bubble where I could see like 5 shows in one night if I wanted to. And then I don't. And then I also like go to a show and I'm one of those guys with their arms crossed, just like whatever. But in Davenport, Iowa, for example, like people will plan their whole this will be like a highlight of their year, right? To
Sure.
see a little like indie rock band like play a 45-minute set. And that feels really vital and special. So I can think of that as being a really meaningful tour experience, those shows. And then also just like the personnel of tours, the people that you're around are just what makes tour either like horrible. But luckily, I've never really had a horrible tour. I've only ever had like really like wonderful experiences where we're still friends at the end, which is
Yeah.
awesome. And just yeah, being goofy in the van. You know, going to Bucky's and Texas, and looking at that funny beaver guy, and I don't know, eating a lot of snacks and listening to weird mixtapes. I mean, that's most of tour. I don't think people necessarily realize it's like a lot of like boring times in the van, but if you're with the right people, it's just really dreamy and blissful. It can be really, really special.
Yeah. I mean, I love what you said about like music where it's not taken for granted. Like, I think, I live in Atlanta, and like I do this, I'm the same. Like I'm like, I see people come through and I'm like, yeah, they'll be back here in a year, they'll be back in a little
Mhm.
bit. And like, then when you go for some of them, like, LCD was here recently, and like they don't, I mean, didn't seem like I hadn't seen them be able to be back here. I think they've had a couple of shows between the time I'd seen them the first time, and I was like, man, like next time I'm there, And
Yeah,
then like I had my
totally.
smaller people like Runner. He's a gentleman
Oh
from
yeah, I
California.
know Noah.
Yeah, so Noah came here, and then like it was on a Wednesday, and I mean he had a huge crowd, and I was like, man, I'm definitely coming back when he comes back. Like you kind of get the, you know, I didn't know him. I probably wouldn't have gone to that show had I not, interviewed him or gotten connected with him through people. But then I go to the show and I'm like, all right, now I'm a fan for life. Like I'm going, for the
Yeah,
next time. And I think like, you talking about the people from Davenport, like, yeah, 100%. Like that happens a lot of places. And I think that
definitely.
that's a cool experience to take away from tour. Very cool.
Sure.
Well, I think right now I want to switch it up on you. I want to hit you with the Pete Peterson party pack of questions. It'll be 20
Let's go.
questions right in a row. So
Okay,
it'll be
so this
real
is just like top of the lid. I just give you like my first answer kind of a thing.
100%,
Oh
100%.
yeah, let's
Right
go.
off the bat, it's going to be a this or that question, so it shouldn't be too
All right.
challenging.
All right. Well, I struggle in the binary, but let's give it a go.
Here we go. Cake or pie,
Oh, pie for sure. Yes, pie.
salad or soup.
Hmm. Soup.
All right, sunrise or sunset.
Sunrise.
All right. Would you rather hit a home run or score a touchdown?
Home run.
Okay, bombs away. Let's go. Night in or night out? What are you having more of these days?
Oh, so many nights in. Embarrassing amounts of nights in.
Okay. When you do go out though, and your jam comes on at a party, are you more likely to do the robot or the worm?
Oh, I wish I could do the worm, but I don't have core strength really, so probably the robot.
All right, all right. When you go to your favorite Mexican spot in California, are you getting guac or queso?
Oh, guac for sure. For
All right.
sure.
What about for breakfast, waffles or pancakes?
Hmm. Probably waffles. I grew up with a lot of Eggo waffles, so I'll say waffles.
All right. Lego, their Eggo. Coffee or tea?
Tea. I've been on my matcha game lately. Love me a matcha in the morning.
All right. Dogs or cats?
Oh shit. I mean, sorry to all my roommates because there's like 3 cats in this house, but I'm a dog guy through and through. I
All
love a
right.
dog.
All right. Ninja or a pirate? What are you more like?
Ooh, a pirate. I mean, I just think their fashion is great.
Yeah. All right. I like it. Gatorade or Powerade?
Probably neither, honestly, but I don't know. I'll probably have just like a topo if I'm gonna get fancy water.
Fair enough. Fair enough. I like that. Toast or bagels?
Ugh, a bagel, but it's gotta be good. I'm a Jew, so don't fuck with me, Don't fuck around. Like it's gotta be a good fucking bagel.
All right. Fair enough. Fair enough. Chips or pretzels?
Chips, you gotta dip, Chips are better for dipping.
I like it. I like it. Fries or tots?
I mean, I wish tots were more of a thing in California because I love tots. So I'm gonna have to say tots.
Okay. All right. When you sit down after a long day or a long tour, Are you watching a TV show or a movie?
TV show, and usually a short one. I've got a pretty bad attention span, so like Buffy the Vampire Slayer or something.
Gotcha. Are aliens real?
Probably, but they're probably like little, like teeny tiny cells that live inside of clouds or something. Like, I don't know. Maybe there is like a big tentacly dude out there, but I don't think we've talked to them yet. I hope we talk soon though. Sounds cool.
That's a kind of a different take on it. I like that. I like that. They're small. We just haven't seen
Yeah. I
them. They've
think
been here
they're
the whole time.
yeah, I think they're there, you know.
All right. What about Bigfoot? Not exactly small.
Hmm. I mean, I hope Bigfoot's real. I don't necessarily believe in Bigfoot, but I do love when like someone takes like an accidental Bigfoot photo of you, you know, when you're like in motion.
Yeah.
Like, so in that way, we're making Bigfoot, we're bringing Bigfoot to life in that way, I guess.
I like it. Is love at first sight real?
Yeah, I think so. I think for some people, yeah.
Good. All right. This is the last question. This can be the most difficult question. Two bands or people who have influenced you that we ought to check out that we might not know that we can say, Jess sent us and
Oh,
we
hmm.
checked you out and we wanted to come on the show.
Oh, great. Okay. Wow, this is so exciting. I'm gonna have to say, my good friend Adrian's project called Night Jars. Excellent fucking songsmith. He's a gem of a dude. Check out Night Jars. And also check out The Gasp. They played at my release show. This is my friend Jack's project, one of his projects. Another just incredible songsmith, fucking catchy as hell songs. Yeah, check them both out.
All right. We got Night Jars and the Gasp. So I have Adrian as the Night Jars and Jack of the Gasp.
That's right.
Real quick bonus question. I know you went to Southern California. I had one buddy who went there. He knew a band called the Jacks. Or do you remember the Jacks?
I don't know the Jacks. They might be before my time, honestly. Yeah, but I'll check them out.
Good band. They're actually not together anymore, but
A relic.
a relic of the Southern California area. But
Look, we all have our embarrassing college bands. I won't mention mine. I actually loved my college band. They were so sweet.
what was the name?
We're still good friends. Oh, I can't say. I can't dox them.
Oh,
but if you stalk me hard enough, you'll find it. It's not that hard to find.
so everybody just go ahead and Google Jess Kallen college band
Yeah.
Southern California. Find
you
it. It'll be a fun little hunt for the listeners. We like it.
Exactly. A
Cool.
little Easter egg.
Jess, I appreciate you coming on. What a blast. Check out Jess's album, Exotherm. Check out The Knife. We talked all about it here. Check out the rest of the album. It's great. They will be on tour some point here in the fall. There will be dates announced. What are the socials? Where can we find you?
You can find me on Instagram. It's at Jess Kallen. So you just take the first letters of my first and last name and you flip them. How clever. And then I'm the same on, I think, TikTok. I'm also, on all the streaming things. I have a YouTube channel with a couple music videos that I'm proud of.
All right.
Yeah. See me in any of those places.
All right. Well, click around. But Jess, thank you so much for coming on. We appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you, Grant. This was a blast.